Support for Swan Song is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you. Whenever I've presented friends with a list of the WonderSwan's titles, one of the first game titles that catches their eye while scrolling through the list is the little-known music game I'll be covering today. Wasabi Produced Street Dancer. That's right, W-U-Z up B ? Pronounced Wasabi. It was developed by Westone, published by Bandai, and released on April 27th, 2000. Wasabi was a flash-in-the-pan dance and vocal performance group made up of 3 female members, Nana, Shino, and Kaoru. The group was started in May of 1998 and quickly made waves in the underground dance scene, catching the attention of executives at Rewind Recordings, which signed them and helped them release their first major single, Bad Dance, in November of 1999. This game was released just a week prior to their second single, Bara no Shoutai, whose jacket features the same photo shoot used on the box art for this game. While I can't speak to their relevance within Japan's Y2K club scene, their musical career was short-lived at the very least. They released a total of 3 singles and a mini-album named Hotchpotch in December of 2001. Many music stores and discography websites never updated their records to show the final track list for this album, which goes to show you how notable of a release it was at the time. The Japanese entertainment industry has a tendency to try and manufacture hits by aggressively promoting performers way too early in their career before anyone else really manifests interest in them. And this appears to be another one of those. I think it would be generous to even call them a one-hit wonder, given how hard it is to find any of their music at all online today. You'll often find Amuse Incorporated credited as the developer for this game, but that's pretty misleading. Amuse Incorporated is the talent management agency to which Wasabi was signed, and they farmed out development of this game to another developer, Westone. Westone Bit Entertainment, founded in 1986, is the development company responsible for bringing us the beloved Wonder Boy and Monster World series of games, though back then they were known under a different name, Escape. Their output outside of Wonder Boy and Monster World is pretty all over the place, although most notable to viewers of the channel would be their work on a few Evangelion games and console ports of the Sotsugyo series. Westone is not mentioned by name on the packaging for Wasabi, nor are they explicitly listed in the credits for the game. The Game Developer Research Institute wiki tipped me off on their involvement, and I was later able to confirm this against an April 4th, 2000 post taking credit for the game on the late 2000 snapshot of their website via the Wayback Machine. Wasabi Produced Street Dancer is a music game presented in a fashion not too dissimilar from Parappa the Rapper. That's to say, along one of the sides of the screen, a lane is displayed and a playhead slides from start to finish across it. Within the lane, icons are placed to indicate to a player if they should hit a directional button or the A or B buttons. When the playhead is on top of a note, you must press that button and the game will judge your timing on a per note basis. When the playhead hits the end of the lane, it wraps back to the beginning. Whenever the playhead is most of the way through the lane, the space behind the playhead is replaced with upcoming notes as a preview for when the playhead wraps back to the start later. You might have noticed that I wasn't committing to saying left or right, or top to bottom, and that's because each musical genre in Wasabi is played in a different orientation. Hip-hop is landscape, rock-in is portrait, and jazz is upside-down landscape. Making matters worse, the main solo gameplay mode forces you to alternate between different genres to progress forward, so if you're playing on an emulator, it's absolute hell to play. You're constantly taking time off between each song, rebinding your controls and rotating your screen, and it's just a major pain to play in any serious capacity, and it's much better enjoyed on real hardware. Or maybe it's salvageable on something like a Steam Deck if you've got one of those. Playing this game was a real pain for me, not because it's inherently bad, but because my environment is really poorly suited to playing this game in a sane way. And for that reason, please excuse my awful gameplay in the background. You can choose to play as any of the members of Wasabi or a mysterious male character named Yu, and each of them have really expressive sprites and animations that look simply fantastic. And that's actually tied into the progression of this game. Completing songs in the main solo mode will unlock new dance move animations which you can use to program custom choreographies that play out as you practice in the game's free mode. The game has a battle mode, but it doesn't rely on a link cable like you'd expect. Instead, 2 players are meant to hold on to the same WonderSwan in portrait orientation and play with either the left or right side of directional buttons. Unfortunately, this does limit you to playing the Rockin' charts, and each player is responsible for playing half the chart. Despite being called Battle, which implies some level of competition, it doesn't break out the score or judgments by player, but it will still award a winner. Then it gives you a teamwork score, which tells you how in sync you were with the other player, which seems to go against the point of a battle mode. I don't know, it's an interesting novelty, but it's no poppin' music battle mode, I'll give you that. The song selection UI is a little bit odd, opting to refer to songs only by their genre and numbering them within that genre. I also think it's a bit of a stretch to call these songs at all. It feels more accurate to just call them beats. You can dance to them, and you can use them as a base to make a song, but there's not really much going on that's memorable enough to be considered a song to me. That doesn't make them bad for the kind of vibe that this game is going for, but if you want memorable bangers, you're going to be more happy playing Beatmania for WonderSwan, that's for sure. I don't think anyone at Amuse or Rewind Recordings would have foreseen back in 2000 that Wasabi's legacy decades later would ultimately be defined by this game and not their actual career as artists or dancers. The most impressive thing about Wasabi is how good it is when you take into account exactly what it is. It's a weird licensed tie-in game for a dance group being hyped up by their agents and record labels that had at most 6 months of development time following their debut single. No one would even expect a game developed under these circumstances to be competently executed, and while the game is content light, it's pretty ambitious and charming for what it is, and I can't really bring myself to call any aspect of it bad.